So, just I'm in a opening mood today, this morning, and I'm thinking, okay, because as I'm writing, I'm noticing that the characters and their banter with each other. I mean, they're really developing um, into I may say. I mean, I don't want to maybe like toot my own horn, but to a point where they may be able to carry a show on their own. I mean, just like a normal writer would. But what started off as just a way to basically not be a talking head on YouTube has really developed into something much more, um, into really what they are. Um, they're real to me. Um, but so as they're developing and as they're really as developing as they are um, as their relationships with each other are developing. um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, that their as their relationships with each other, the dynamics are developing. I feel like they could really carry a show along with what I plan on. Once the whole YouTube thing and I have like a bunch of followers, yay! I'm like an influencer now. What I plan to do is have it become a Netflix show. I mean, I could pitch it somewhere other places if Netflix is like, no. But Netflix doesn't seem to be saying no to a lot of things. So, which they have the money, so good on them. Sometimes it doesn't, it's like one season or a couple episodes, and you're like, what? Well, Netflix, they say yes to everything. But, so, um, what I was thinking, the first episode, because people would automatically know about the YouTube show, obviously. And this will be kind of like people like Netflix, some like executives are going to like, hey, did you see that YouTube of the guy talking about pitching to Netflix? No, maybe not even have to pitch. This is kind of the bitch. Um, but full transparency here. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So the beginning of the first episode was I come out of the Netflix headquarters in LA, and there's a homeless person, and he turns to me and he says, um, "Did they accept it? Did they pick it up? Did they pick it up? They pick it up?" I go, "Yeah. How did you know?" And then he turns and he says, "Then you pick it up. I'm not gonna." And he starts talking to people that aren't there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, it's good to be back. And then I go back. It's a really cheesy line. Um, but it's funny if you live in LA. So, and then I'm walking down, Sunset Boulevard, whatever. And then Netflix pulls a little finances, budgets, or whatever, and gets up a billboard. And then a billboard with me, and then Carl, and oh man, I really don't want to be like in front of the camera. I just want to do this YouTube thing. Maybe there's a way I can, you know, people are replaced all the time, and they're like, "What are you talking about? It's the same character. It's the same actor. It's the same character. It's just a different actor. Don't think about it." So what's I gonna say? So then there would be Christian, and then Fletcher, and then Fletcher. So I already figured it out the billboard. So as I'm walking, then it tilts up and there's a billboard. Yeah, Netflix works that fast. As soon as they accept a story of TV show, they put up the billboard literally seconds from the guy walking down the TV station. But whatever. So it tilts up, because it's an intro, there doesn't really need to be continuity in intros. So it tilts up, and then the billboard, and Carl has this face. My young Bill Gates glasses. He's not dead, so he can't be amused. Anyways, so what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So this is Carl. Carl he's thinking, he smiles because he's nice, but he's also concerned, he's worried. And then you have Walt, who's just happy-go-lucky. And then Fletcher, who's the captain, is kind of like, yeah, I just started mutiny, I'm the boss. Holding the vest. I mean, he's not like, I don't know. He's not like, I don't know what, have your hands. I was going to say something really bad, but I didn't, so it's okay. But this is like the captain's vest, But I got rid of the captain's vest. Now he's wearing like just a undershirt that they wore back then. So what would he, maybe, no, because hands crossed. Yeah, maybe like that. Oh, Captain. And then I'm in the middle, like this, or Christian's in the middle. I gotta put up. I'm going crazy. I have to put up with going crazy. And then I was thinking, if the muses, then I scrapped that. But then I was like, why not just mutiny? It therefore doesn't really tell the story, but it gives the theme, and then it cuts to the three of them on the ship, because this is the best part of the show. Is because it's Netflix, I would have a budget to actually like be on like a cruise, not like, or a stage. But I'm sure like not be that expensive. I mean, I'd have to negotiate, be like, listen, I really think it'd be better to be on a cruise, but I don't want to have like that one Disney show where the twins are on a boat. I mean, come on, it's obviously a stage. This is for adults here. We're gonna need a cruise ship, but we'll just film on a cruise ship. Well, people will be like, yeah, we're on that boat where they were filming. It was really cool. Sometimes they closed some sections down, but whatever. It was fine. It was really cool to be part of that thing and watch a TV show being shot. There's ways to work around it. So, without having to rent a whole cruise ship. I don't know what they did, but that was HBO. HBO probably has a bigger budget than Netflix for that one Avenue show. That's definitely a soundstage. Because it's in space. So this is gonna be my 15-minute video for today. So I'll just keep talking. What else? Oh yeah, so the video would go to them on the boat, on the bridge, and they're like, did you get, they're not gonna go, but they're being busy, and then Fletcher talks to them, hey, did anybody, no, fuck, something, they'll say something to that way it will cut to, I don't know what they'll say, but they'll say something that it will then make sense when I cut to all the new muses that I'll have on the TV show. Like, what's her name? Black, World War II, something. Her name is like a flower. She was really, I fucking suck at names. And then I was either thinking either Napoleon or Thomas Jefferson. I need another like leader that's like Fletcher Christian, that there can be like, I'm the leader. No, like Napoleon would be funny because he's French, and obviously Fletcher's English, so there would be that to work with, which would be fun. Um, and Thomas Jefferson also was like, hey, fuck you, England, and Fletcher was also like, hey, fuck you, England, so they could actually bond over that. So that would be fun to work with. And then Josephine Baker, not a flower. Maybe Josephine is. I'm thinking Jasmine. Josephine Baker, and you would see all these feet. Like you would see those like 1940s high heels that she was wearing, and you would see like colonial shoes or Napoleon's boots. And then I would obviously, if I'm trying to cast someone else to play me, I wouldn't be doing any of these. This is why they're not in the YouTube show, because there's no way I can act like Josephine Baker or Napoleon or Thomas Jefferson. Maybe Thomas Jefferson. But he's not really part of brand building, but he's definitely up there in my head, telling me, hey, this is my what? The people are referring to lawyers and the courtroom as like show business. This is not what I was planning when I wrote like there's three different branches. I was not thinking the judicial branch would be compared to a circus. I'm not really happy about that. He talks about that all the time. Anyways, so just kidding. I mean, they're kind of there, but it's abstract for people that lack the imagination. They're not actually like, I'm not like thinking I'm a medium talking to dead famous people. So then Josephine Baker, I really want to do Robin Williams because he has meant a lot to me, but it's so being tied so soon. I would have to talk to his daughter, see if it's okay. And obviously, there's nothing he would say that she wouldn't not approve on. Everything that character says or does, she would have to approve. Obviously, because I want everything to be. And that's the thing. Like all these people influence me not because I'm like, oh, Napoleon's cool. It's because I read something somewhere along the line, or I'm like, whoa. And this is the thing. This is something that I might have wasn't really planning on sharing. But all my muses, there has been a moment, except for Fletcher, because he's just a name, because of my name and everything. It's kind of a gimmick I used. I don't like gimmicks, but I excuse myself on that one. I've had a moment where I felt so close to them I cried. That for one reason or another, I understood them in a way that I don't think most people did, even while they were alive. And those are the ones that become muses. Because at that moment, they're no longer just a person in history, but I feel connected to them on some level. Josephine Baker, but she's people. Oh, Siri, I wasn't talking to you, Siri. Forget about it. Oh my god, it scared the living shit out of me. Hopefully it's living, because I'm not dead, so what? Oh, actually, I hope not living. That'd be weird. It'd be like that turd on the South Park. Anyways, so, oh yeah, Josephine Baker said how, because I guess she was getting critiqued by a bunch of black people that she was being too loose. She was being too herself. She wasn't. You had at that time, you had to be, and I guess I'm not. black people are probably already are still telling other black people how to act. Um, but again, that's not my wheelhouse. I just know this. What was said about her was she was being to herself. She has to be more conservative because they have a image. They have to, just kind of like how female soldiers have to be twice as tough when training to prove to the male soldiers that they are tough, just as tough as they are. But they can't just be tough. They have to be just as like they have to be tougher than the male soldiers, because if they're just as tough, they're like, oh, whatever, whatever. You're just as. They'll still kind of like downplay it. So women soldiers have it tough. So if you ever see a female soldier, be like, extra thank you. If you see a male soldier, just be like, thanks for your service and everything. If you see a female soldier, be like, thanks. I know you've been through some shit. So that's that. And then really how? Just some YouTube video I saw some this guy was telling me. Anyways. So so Josephine Baker was like, no, I'm gonna be me. I don't care if you think it's gonna do the image, whatever. This is who I am, and I'm gonna be who I am. And that made me cry. I think it's because her own people that she was probably because her own people that she identified with rejected her for just being her, which I could sympathize with, and it made me cry. And then she became a muse. So, and she's probably gonna help me be me. She'll be like, listen, you be you, See, if I did that, it would be very, 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 very offensive all the time. That was okay, because that was just, I was not doing a thing. I was literally just imagining what she would say. And, I'm gonna leave that there. So it does help that I'm a little crazy. And then so I had Josephine Baker, Napoleon, Thomas Jefferson. Because Thomas Jefferson, when he wrote the Constitution, he said inalienable rights, he said, I confused the two. So excuse me if I confused the wrong ones. The principle still applies, and that's what matters. He said inalienable, which means everybody has the same rights, or inheritable, which means no one can take a right away from you that you have. So at first he put everybody has the same rights. And then the rest of the founding fathers were like, whoa, Thomas Jefferson, no, don't do that, come on here. I know you treat your slaves pretty well, but come on. We gotta say inalienable. We can't say inheritable. We have to say inheritable. We can't say inalienable. And we can't say everybody has the same rights. Only once they have the rights, they can be taken away. But we can't say it. So literally in the Constitution, you see a scratch mark, and he changes it. So that's why I was like, boom, right there at that moment, Thomas Jefferson became a muse. And Napoleon was a more complex story. He was very because there was a whole podcast I listened to, and he was very antisocial. He was kind of like everybody's like, what's with Napoleon? He's kind of like the weird kid, and in his military camp, or not military camp, in the military school he went to, he was kind of seen as like a weird foreign kid, and then of course the revolution came. Even when he was Napoleon Bonaparte, the Emperor of France, people were like, why is he still wearing those boots? Because he wore these horse-riding boots, these shoulder boots, but he was the emperor of a fucking country, and he was still wearing like horse riding boots, and people are, of course, everybody else in politics in France was like, why is he dressed like he's still like going to battle? This is really weird. Napoleon's weird. He's not dressing like a leader. He's not dressing like Louis XIV, and which is probably a good idea. But anyways, everybody kind of thought he's like, yay, Napoleon! He's so charismatic and he's pretty good at going up the ladder, but he's kind of weird. And there was one moment I don't like what he did, and that's they were fleeing, they were retreating. The enemy of Britain probably was retreating, and he kept attacking because apparently his girlfriend was seeing somebody else and he was kind of taking it personally. But you shouldn't kill people just because your girlfriend is seeing someone else. I mean, they're fleeing, they're retreating. Don't keep attacking them. So, but hence the Napoleon complex, right, Carl? Insert voiceover. Then who else? So I have. Oh, and of course, Alfred Hitchcock is big influence because he has that dry humor about him. No Americans have never seen that before him. He really made his movies were good, but it's because of him that everybody saw them. Quentin Tarantino, great movies. He is not a people person, and he sucks at selling himself. Quentin Tarantino. Alfred Hitchcock was good at selling both his movies and Alfred Hitchcock. So by selling Alfred Hitchcock, he then made his movies twice as popular. That's what you have. I mean, it's not, because there's not, you would see Alfred Hitchcock, there's this whole, it's staged, but you're okay with it. Quentin Tarantino is not staged, nothing staged. He's just being, get out of my face, da da da. And even like Steven Spielberg, even though Steven Spielberg's probably more reserved than oh my god, I'm gonna be blacklisted. But this is whatever. I might not post this. I'll just bleep out the names. Steven Spielberg is more reserved, but he's still not that Alfred Hitchcock. Everything. He is a character. Only his wife probably knew who he really was. Everything, no matter how small an interview was, everything was this character he played. This dry, detached, which really you can tell isn't him. He's really probably jokes a lot, not like probably laughs a little bit, but everything he says is a joke, and he always has that small little grin. But he saw a gimmick. He saw people in horror. People go on roller coasters. People like to be scared. He's not like this creep or anything. He just he saw a need that people needed filled, and he filled it. I mean, that's kind of what most filmmakers do, probably. And then try to squeeze in the stories we want to tell somewhere in there. But then Alfred Hitchcock, then H.G. Wells, not H.G. Wells. I always confuse H.G. Wells and War of the Worlds guy, Rosebud, that guy. H.G. Wells is a good writer, don't get me wrong, but he's just not a muse. Orson Welles. Orson Welles. Did H.G. Wells do the World War? Orson Welles is the one I'm talking about. Because he did a lot of. Alfred kind of did a lot of innovation when it came to like editing, and then Orson did a lot of technical innovations, which obviously, but there's another muse. Oh yeah, Freddie. I can't forget Freddie. Freddie is every song Queen did. There was a moment in high school where it got me through a tough time. I mean, if you can be a bisexual, I don't know why there's air quotes. I know why. Well, he is bisexual, but we all know where on that, because everybody is bisexual. We know where on that meter he landed more. But that's just music industry. 1 out of 10 people are gay. And if you sell music, you sell romance. I don't care what type of music. The person listening to that song is wishing they were in a relationship with you. And when you're a singer, if you're just straight, you got 90% of the population and you excluded 10% of the population. If you're gay, you only have 10% of the population and you just excluded 90% of the population. So, of course, Freddie was bi. Anyways, but, he's dead, so it's okay. No one's gonna be like, oh my god, I wish Freddie would marry me. It's not gonna happen, I'm sorry. Even if he was alive, it probably wasn't gonna happen. Anyways, but if you can be a bisexual English person, yet have your song play in the beginning of the majority of football games, we will, then you have the right to be a muse to anybody. Because you definitely have some knowledge that people could learn from. But Freddie, he's singing. He does because on the this is a long one. On the boat, in my head, he does the shows, because there's obviously, it's like a cruise and there's like a stage where there's a nightly performance, and he always does a nightly performance with Josephine Baker, and everybody loves it. So, anyways, and they're the ones, because I sing in my bathroom in my shower and everything. He's like, don't, too high. Oh, it's too flat. Oh, darling, no. You're holding back. Don't hold back. Have some confidence. Anyways, so and there's a few I'm missing. But anyways, you would see their feet, right? So you would see, I always come back. It takes me a while, but every tangent always comes back. Then you see their feet, right? So everybody sees the muses in the bridge, and then the muse. Oh, did you check on the new hires or the new recruits? And then you see all their like luggage and their shoes, and they're waiting. They're on that. Those the walkway you get on when you go onto a cruise line. So you see all their feet, and they're just going onto the cruise. And then Chris, which if you bought the book, you would know is the teenage version, the teenage persona of me that's on the cruise and acts as comic relief. So they probably like, Fletcher turns to Christian. That's how it's gonna start. Fletcher turns to Christian or Chris and say, hey, did you see if the new recruits are here? Oh, and then obviously, and then he goes out, and then he rushes, and then there's a bunch of people there. This is the beginning, because I had this beginning earlier when I was listening to a song, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of good for right here. Because I was picturing, I listen to music, and I just picture like, oh, this would be funny, like right here. So, and then he's trying to go to the bridge, and he's like, oh, his legs are going over, and he's like, excuse me, because a bunch of people are laying on the dock just sunbathing. And then he's like, oh, Jesus, what, stupid comedy stuff. Oh, shit. And he knocks over a drink of this, like, big muscle guy. And oh, yeah. Because in the TV show, there's not only going to be Chris, because in the book, there's just Chris. No, I changed it. I did rewrite it. So there's multiple, as you know, or you should know if you're watching this video, because you shouldn't watch this video if you don't know this yet, because then it's just going to seem like I'm just talking about nonsense. That each character, originally I had just Chris be the crew. There's the muses who are in charge of the ship, then the crew, which are different personalities than myself, that are doing like the tasks, like the bartender and stuff like that. But now I even furthered that personality, because at first it was just like the teenage Christian, the different. At first I just had the different stages of my life, like the teenage Christian. Then there was Chrissy, like this little kid that runs around, just like just having fun, whatever. It wasn't really having fun. Was kind of just like literally like checking spots, and was being ostracized by all the teenage clubs, and so would hang out with the crew members, but that would just be other versions. I was trying to explain what I did as a child on cruise ships, because everybody would be like, "Here's nowhere. Why doesn't he talk?" It would be like to my siblings, "Why doesn't your brother talk? He just doesn't, he's shy." So I would hang out with the crew instead, because they didn't care I didn't talk. So, and then eventually, they'd just tell me stuff, and they'd like show me, yeah. They're more interesting than those fucking teenagers anyways. So I was like, yeah. Anyways, where is this going? I can't keep on going on tangents. This is why for the show I have to have a script, because this is just going on random tangents. But I have to have a conclusion. So, oh yeah, so he's like, oh, and then he knocks the one over, and then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, so this is going to be Stoner Chris. He's gonna have pot leaves, socks, and he's gonna have like the visor, and he's gonna look like one of those people you see working at a tennis court or a tennis club during the summer, that just needs a summer job just so he can pay for his weed that he buys, but he's really not, like, he shouldn't, he's just like doesn't fit in. So this is that character. And then he's like, oh, let me get in on. And so he's going, and he goes over to the bar, and then emo Chris comes up, and he's like, has all the emo hair, his eyeliner, and yeah, he's not wearing the short white like shorts that you would wear on a cruise. He's wearing like cut off jeans. And he's like, he said something, fuck. Anyways, they exchange stuff about being now back in LA. And Chris is like, Stoner Chris is like, are you serious? Look at all these people on the boat. It's so much more exciting than the suburbs. Because remember, the people I look at, I create a doppelganger of them in my head. And I think, okay, how am I going to entertain this person? So every time I see somebody, there's a version of them in my head on the boat, on the cruise, that a guest, a passenger that ideally needs to be entertained. And so Chris is like, oh, it's a full cruise. This is so much better than being in the suburbs. This is so boring in the suburbs. I don't know why he's Jewish all of a sudden. So, oh yeah, because I was doing my Jewish couple in the shower while I was getting ready. Oh, Ethel. Oh, Abraham. Why did you do that? Oh, Ethel. They're very good together. Um, they're always on the ship. You know, even though I never, there's not a lot of Jewish people in Celebration, Florida, but they're always there. They were always there when I was a kid. For some reason, I was the type of kid that said, "Hey, Kavod," but there's no Jewish people around. I don't know. There has to be maybe some collective consciousness. There's some I'm connected to. I did try to convert, but I don't think I'm Jewish enough genetically. But that's the intro to the show. That's the intro for the Netflix show. If it gets backed up, but they pick everything up, so it should be fine. Gotta get writing now. So boring. Rewriting. I have to